Welcome to Unity Inspired Living. Our community began in 1989 as a small worldwide Unity book study group, and we've continued the momentum as an ever-evolving spiritual community. Each Sunday, you will find dynamic thought leaders delivering inspiring messages and talented musicians sharing sound healing through their melody. Here, we embrace ancient spiritual traditions, universal truths, and emerging wisdom. Let's check out this Sunday message. We're so grateful you've joined us. Has blessed us. So thank you, Charley, for gifting us with your music and opening our joyful space for the morning to hand off the rest of the morning to you. And when Charley first told me his title, he said, "It's an outrageous title, right?" I just had to giggle to myself, and I replied, "I love outrageous." Encourage outrageous. So I'm excited for this because, sometimes that unexpected title is exactly what gets our attention, right? And invites us to look at a familiar idea, but in a completely new way. And I just love that. I love the outrageousness of that. And Charley is just the perfect, beautiful heart to open ours. And so I invite everybody with an open heart and curious mind to welcome Charley Thweatt as he shares Saint Jesus, the Metaphysics of Miracles. Thank you, Charley. We're grateful for you.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, Saint Jesus, the Metaphysics of Miracles. So I just want to get into some of the deeper meanings behind some of the miracles Jesus did, and look at what maybe the meaning of saint actually means, what it comes from, how it could mean more. But I always love opening with a joke, and this is an old one but a good one. So some of you, I'm sure, have heard this, but I'm still laughing. So here we go. I found a Jesus joke I can tell in church. How about that? So here goes like this. One day in heaven, Jesus realized he hadn't seen his father, Joseph, in a few centuries, which in heaven is not much time. He saw St. Peter and asked, "Hey, Pete, have you seen my father?" Peter asked, "You mean God?" No, laughed Jesus. I see God all the time. My earthly dad, Joseph." "Oh, sure," said Peter. "He likes to sit under a tree in the heavenly park." So Jesus strolled down to the park, and from a distance he saw an old man under a tree carving a piece of wood. He approached the man from behind and said, "You're very handy with wood. Back on earth, were you a carpenter?" The old man said, "Why, yes, I was an excellent carpenter." Jesus asked, "Why, did you have any children?" "Yes," replied the old man, "I had one son, but I must admit I wasn't exactly his father. You see, he wasn't conceived in the usual way. He was born by magic." Excitedly, Jesus exclaimed, "Father?" And the old man turned around and shouted, "Pinocchio?" It's still funny to me. I've heard it many times. When I was going along a line, I found that thing again. So what fun. So I can't remember if it was when we were preparing or during the actual service, but Pat mentioned a mentor of hers named Mary Morrissey, and Mary's a friend of mine too. And I remember years ago, there's something she said from the pulpit that's always stuck in my mind. It applies to Jesus. She said, sometimes we get stuck in this, how we see Jesus, and a lot of people see him as the great exception, when really he's just the great example. We think we'll never achieve that, but even he said, these things and more you will do. But, it's just like he kind of got there first, right? He's not above or beyond us. He just kind of got there first. And like he said, we will do these things and greater. So just kind of a reframe of Jesus and just a bigger picture. I love it, not the great exception, the great example of who we all are becoming. He also said, "I am in the Father, and the Father is in me." That we would say maybe I am in God and God is in me. Keep that in mind. It opens a lot of doors of our potential. If you just feel that I am in God, God is in me, it's kind of like this big cosmic soup of potential and possibilities that we can navigate in and create in. when we talk about miracles, I can't help but think of in A Course in Miracles, it says any expression of love is a miracle. So you're performing a miracle anytime you're putting love into the world. Jesus was deeply living in his Christ self, and who we are is that same Christ self, that child of God's self. So our job is to remove the blocks to the awareness of our divinity, our true identity. And that identity we were singing about, talking about, is holiness. Your holiness blesses the world. My holiness blesses the world. The Catholic Church seems to be the people who get to choose who a saint is. I think they kind of systemized it, and like Amy was saying earlier, there's certain requirements, and the main one is that they have to have 2 recorded miracles. Of course, Jesus went way past that amount, and in a minute I want to look at 3 of them and kind of some of the meaning we can glean within the miracles, look at them metaphysically. But first I want to look at the word saint and how, guess what, it applies to you. So, I speak some Italian, I speak some Spanish, and I stumbled upon something that I think is interesting. Like when you hear, Saint Francis or Saint Clare, you think, oh, right, it's a person who's a saint. But sometimes it's, Santa Fe, Santa Cruz. And you know what those translate to? It's not Saint Fe or Saint Cruz, it's Holy. Fe is faith in Spanish. So Holy Faith, Holy Cross. Santa Cruz is Holy Cross. There's a town in Italy, Sant'Agnello, that means Holy Lamb. So it's really saying holy, which is also to say Holy Francis, Holy Clare. So when I say saint about anyone, maybe if your holiness blesses the world, well, let's call it, what if you took your name and put saint in front of it for just a second? Saint Amy, Saint Pat, Saint Jan. Just allow that in. Holy Amy, Holy Pat, Holy Jan. I want to say holy cow for some reason. But anyway, so I'm saying Saint Jesus with respect, simply holy Jesus. Well, that sounds like you're exclaiming too. Holy Jesus. Any act of love is a miracle. Any act of love is holy. So let's step into our holiness. Let's claim it. Live as that. So I know when the church is, thinking about miracles, they're thinking about, supernatural acts. But even what if we turn that word on its head, and break it down? Maybe it means extremely natural, like, super chill or super friendly. Let's all be supernatural, and it's natural to express love, to express miracles all the time. That's natural. Love is natural. It's the most natural thing we could do, and I know our hearts would agree. You are holy, and wherever you walk is holy ground. Take that in. Own that. Be that. Your holiness blesses the world. Remember that Jesus was the great example, not the great exception. Christ lives in and as you too. Your holiness blesses the world. So let's look at 3 of these miracles and some of the deeper meanings. So the first one that I want to look at is healing the blind. And in one miracle, Jesus asked 2 blind men if they believed that he could heal their sight. And they said yes. He touched their eyes and healed them. For me, the metaphysical level is, the reframe is healing the blind spot. Healing the blind spots in our lives. And this takes belief too. Belief that we can reframe what's happening in our lives. We can shift from not seeing to seeing. Healing what we are blind to. Things we don't see around us, things we don't see about ourselves. Have you ever been surprised to suddenly see something that was there the whole time, but for the longest time you just could not see it, no matter how long you were looking? I have to say, I do that all the time with our refrigerator. Honey, I can't find the mustard. Are we out of mustard? Heidi arrives, looks in the fridge, hands me the mustard, and says, it was right there. I have a blind spot on the refrigerator. What can I say? So this pattern has gotten so ridiculous that we finally just made it a one-word joke about it. I just stand at the fridge and I say, honey, with kind of a cartoon voice. And this has happened so many times. I decided to have a metal sign custom made to hang in our kitchen. It just has one word, honey, with about 6 E's at the end. And of course, I could ask myself, why couldn't I see it? What's the deal? It was right there. What a blind spot. And that's a simple example, but on a grander scale, blind spots can be a lot more impactful. I found this definition online: a blind spot is where information is known to others, but not to ourselves. Like they see things we don't see. It's like me, missing the mustard. And, in our lives, do you have amazing qualities others see but you don't? Probably. And you could ask, well, how could I see what I don't see? But how can I know what I don't know? And it is tricky. How do you have that breakthrough? Another quote I found says, the greatest blind spot of all is the belief that we don't have one. So I think it's an invitation to say, well, to stop. What are my, pause. What are my blinds? What can I be open to? And sometimes it's from feedback from others. They'll say, well, you did, a little bit of that. But even asking the questions opens the door to a new awareness, to reframing. I think reframing is important. And then, well, can I do that thing I never thought I could do? Because that's really the breakthrough, isn't it? How do I break through a wall in my mind that seems to keep me out of new territory? How do I leap into something I've never done? It is possible because you're seeing other people are doing it. They're having breakthroughs. And a bigger example in my life, about 4 years ago, Heidi and I became homeowners for the first time. We were both kind of free spirits, doing a lot of travel, living in various places. And the idea of owning and caring for a home wasn't really natural to either of us, or supernatural. But for most of us, it didn't occur. I mean, most of all, it didn't occur to be possible or even affordable. It wasn't even on our radar. It wasn't even part of how we thought. So we didn't even know how buying a house worked. There were so many parts of the puzzle. We had no experience in any of it. And then we started healing our blind spot. And we started seeing ourselves differently, open to the idea maybe we could do this. It felt like the right time in our lives. There must be a way. So we thought, what if we could? And that's a good starting point. What if I could? So we'd both lived in expensive places, California, the East Coast. Houses were expensive. Again, it seemed impossible. But I noticed one thing when I would travel to churches in Florida. I'd stay in people's homes. I'd ask, well, how much are the houses in this neighborhood? And I'd look them up and $240,000. Are you kidding? That's really affordable. So we started thinking, well, maybe Florida's doable. And then COVID struck, and then housing prices went up, but they were still more affordable in Florida than anywhere else. So, for us, Florida's our story. Everyone has their story. And we took steps, and we said, well, let's go look at it. We like the beaches. We like that there's a Whole Foods and a Costco. That works. And we're willing to put up with the heat. Thank you, God, for air conditioning. And in the end, we were able to figure out a way to buy our own place. Wow. And we could have gotten stuck in thoughts like it can never happen. We don't know how. It's too hard. But we healed the blind in us. We stepped back and looked. And if we were to imagine how other people saw us, they'd probably have no doubt that we could have done it. You know that feeling? People watching you probably have no doubt of your abilities, but we have these little inner things, these little blind spots, these ideas that run us. We just didn't see it. That's a blind spot. We are more capable than we think. We can heal the blindness in ourselves. Step into our greatness. Imagine that others see your best self more than you do. God wants us playing full out, right? Right. There's even that common phrase about being blind to the possibilities. It happens. And we were. Until we weren't. Until we stretched. Are you ready to do some healing of the blind, your blind spots? That would be a good miracle. What are you not seeing? Maybe something that's right there, a lot more possible than you might think. Can you let a new thought in? Even if it's just a first step, inching forward. Your friends might be less surprised than you think. They probably saw your greatness all along. So the second miracle I want to look at is walking on water. And for me, the biggest question in this story is, what if trust is the only thing missing? What if trust is the only thing missing? So you may know the story. Peter saw Jesus walking on the Sea of Galilee. Peter asked to join him, and Jesus said, "Come." And this enabled Peter to walk on water until he took his eyes off Jesus, feared the wind, and sank. There it is. He went into fear, lost his connection to the divine, and dropped into the water. Most of you know that in my 20s, I left a career in corporate architecture to launch into this unusual career of singing for love offerings. I remember once my aunt said, "You're doing what?" "Your grandfather would roll over in his grave." Yeah, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. And, even back then, I remember one of the phrases I had in my head frequently was, I'm like asking God to help me walk on water. Because there was no visible means of support. There was no proof this was going to work. But I did step out. And I'm proud of that. I leaped, and it worked. And you know what the biggest gift to me was? It's that other people tell me I'm a gift to them. It's the biggest gift. And that's service, isn't it? That's what doing what you came to do looks like. And it took a lot of trust, especially when it doesn't look normal. Leaving a corporate career to do this did not look normal. May I see a show of hands of who else here is not normal? Anyone? Life's always inviting us to stretch into new areas, into who we are becoming in a way. It might not make sense to your mind, but it will make sense to your heart, your soul. Listen to your inner calling. It's there for a reason. Is there a way that maybe you'd like God to help you walk on water, but it just looks so impossible? Is there a miracle waiting for you? What if your main job is just to listen to Spirit and to where Spirit wants you, and then step outside the box of what you've always done? Think beyond your normal assumptions. That's what Jesus invited Peter to do. That's not normal, walking on water. I think a good mantra is there's always more. Maybe you're doing a lot of great things, but there's always the next step. There's always more. The next stretch. God is infinite. The possibilities are infinite. I wrote a song years ago, and I love the lyrics. It says, "And when you're ready, just know there's always more. Love is always with us now. Step right up and take a bow. You're the one that all this love is for. Feel it tingle on your skin. Watch it fountain from within. And when you're ready, just know there's always more." It's unlimited. Peter sank because he took his eye off the Spirit and went into fear thoughts about what could go wrong. Sound familiar? We're all humans going through our life lessons, our trust issues. It's big. Trust is a big factor in whether we move forward or freeze in place. What if they don't like me? What if they hate what I created? What if no one comes to my event? What if I'm not good at it? That's the voice of Peter fearing the wind and sinking into the water. What if you ignored the wind and the fear just long enough to have a success? What if you trusted there's a divine reason you're getting these inspirations? There's a great line in A Course in Miracles. I love this line. It says, "No one can fail to do what God appointed him to do." No one can fail to do what God appointed him to do. Trust. If it's yours to do, there will be a way. And it's probably going to light you up with joy when you do what you came to do. Even if you're just inching into it a little at a time. Can you let it be that simple? Eyes on the prize, not on the fear. Eyes on the prize, not on the fear. Okay, I got one more. I want to look at the fishes and loaves. This is where Jesus was teaching to 5,000 people by the Sea of Galilee. And And the crowd grew hungry, and the disciples only had 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. Jesus blessed the food, broke the bread, and told his disciples to pass it out. Everyone ate until they were full, and you know what? I love the next part. The disciples collected the leftovers, which was 12 basketfuls of food. What the heck? There's a miracle. They're full, and there was more than when they began with. This reminds me of just that smallest taste of your Christ self is transforming and totally fulfilling. It's a great story about how, with how little food, everyone felt so fully fed. And I'm sure it's obvious to you, it was their spirit that was fed. In that kind of enlightened state, their stomachs were not that concerned. But have you ever had that experience? If I have, what comes to mind is when I'm sitting with friends, we hold hands before a meal, and just close our eyes, do a prayer. And time after time, at the end, in the silence, I don't want to open my eyes. I'm just like, food is secondary at that point. There's that blissful pause, again, Pat, just the pause and being and connection to that deeper peace. I think that's what fed them as much as anything on the Sea of Galilee. So this fishes and loaves is about feeding your deepest self, your spiritual self. I invite you to look at what does feed you and what doesn't. We fill our lives with distractions. What feeds you? Just stay on that track. Remind yourself. We get distracted. It's also about that infinite abundance of spirit. The food multiplied. More came in than went out. I feel that way in my career. I can safely say this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And yet I have an abundance of love, of connection, of travel, creativity. It's like I have this bank account of amazing experiences and blessings from all the years. An abundance of the heart. And like with the loaves and fishes, I feel that so much more has come back to me than what I sent out. Thank you, God. There's one more little quick story that happened at the well, where Jesus was speaking to a woman, and he said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I shall give him will never thirst. The water I shall give will become a well of water springing up into everlasting life." These words are your Christ self inviting you home to that everlasting essence that you felt when you closed your eyes for prayer, you felt when you pause. Spiritual nourishment that always flows in you. It's that energy I felt anytime I closed my eyes. The deep peace of God's presence that you always carry. This may not be considered an official miracle, but for me, maybe it is the miracle that you have this within you every hour of every day. And it's especially a miracle when we really live from that awareness of the Christ in us and the Christ in each other. My holiness blesses the world, your holiness blesses the world. So some closing thoughts. Jesus knew he was more than his body. He knew there was more beyond this life. And maybe from the cross, that was his ultimate teaching, that there is more. There's nothing to fear, including death. He knew nothing real could be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. I have another dear friend who's passed on, Reverend Richard Levy. He was a well-known Unity minister for 35 years, wonderful speaker. In his last months, when he discovered he had bone cancer, I flew across the country and spent several days with him. And his final words to me before I left, his words were this, and this is powerful: "Don't miss me when I'm gone, because I don't go anywhere, and neither do you." Don't miss me when I'm gone, because I don't go anywhere, and neither do you. And with that in mind, don't you think it's true for Jesus? Saint Jesus, Holy Jesus. He also didn't go anywhere. He's certainly in the hearts of millions, in the minds of millions. He's our reminder of how to be in our daily choices, how to rise up to our highest selves, our very natural selves, our supernatural selves. Just be your natural self. the one God created to bless the world. And I want to do a quick reframe. I'm going to close by reviewing the three miracles, and this reframe's kind of fun. So, three things: what fools you, what fails you, and what fills you. What fools you, what fails you, and what fills you. So, for our lesson about the healing the blind, or healing the blind spots, we'll ask what fools you. So, our job is to believe in the healing of our clearer sight, to not be fooled by blind spots, into thinking less of our abilities, less of who we can be, who we are. For a lesson about walking on water, we'll ask what fails you. Our job, like Peter, is to trust in spirit instead of failing ourselves by going into fear. And for a lesson about the loaves and fishes, we ask what fills you. Our job is to keep doing what fills our hearts, what feeds our spirit, as we feed others in the process. And to the saint you are, always remember, your holiness blesses the world. And so it is.
Oh, wow, Charlie, that's beautiful. Yes, your holiness blesses the world. True, true, true. I love how you started off with um talking about this the meaning of saint and then and replacing that with holy and then um calling each of our names, Saint Charlie, Saint Jan. That's just a beautiful uh possibility every day. You can remind yourselves what a great ritual, to put yourself
Mm,
into every morning, just a space and
mm,
of intention. You're setting that intentional space of who am I? What am I here to do?
mm.
I just loved this talk. I am so grateful for you. I love that you start with a joke. And then even when you're talking about this is something I so love about you. Even when you're talking about, the seriousness of holiness, and then you're like, I just feel like saying holy cow. But it's your beautiful nature. That's your spirit. That's a spirit coming through you. And that's what resonates with us is your authenticity. So it
Thank
just
you.
puts a smile on our face. So thank you for being you and showing up and for
Thank you.
leaving that architecture career and and trusting to go into this crazy world of love donations, love offerings for music because boy, you have been such a blessing to the world, and
Thank you.
what a gift. I love you said, I am the Father. This is what Jesus said. I am in
In
the
the
Father,
Father.
and the Father is in me. And just that phrase, that
Mm-hmm.
affirmative phrase for us, and you replaced it with I am God and God is in me. And a reminder.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need that little reminder. So to the miracles, you said any act of love is holy. And you said that right after you were talking about putting the saint in front of our names. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought we are each an act of love that makes us holy. So that's why you're Saint
Mm.
Charlie and we have Saint Pat. And, we as a being are here as an act of love. We are holy. Um, and the miracles. I love this conversation, and I'm sure everybody else has too. So I'm going to check in with our chat and
Okay.
see how everybody is doing here. Hi, everybody. Here we are. I'm scrolling back to see. Um, Hi, Mariah. Hi, Michael J says namaste. Mariah says, you are addressing exactly what I'm dealing with now. Thank you for showing me how to heal my blind spots. Love, Marty. Yes, the conversation about our blind spots, it's really healing the blind and having that reframe. What fools you? I love the questions you left us with. What
Yeah.
fools you? Because we can get into our, the mental mess
Yeah.
of the foolery that can
Yeah.
happen. And
Yeah.
uh I am so not normal, Sonia says. Well, welcome. Welcome to the club. Peter, Christopher, you are always an angel on our shoulder, guiding and inspiring us with melodies and reminders of our unity and beauty and all joy. Yes.
Oh. Hello,
Uh,
Peter. Hello, Moriah. close
Yes.
friends. Yeah.
Beautiful. Bob says, preserving the atmosphere for the next generation is what God has to do. I cannot fail with him behind me. Yes. Thank you, Bob, for all of your work. And, uh, walking on
Let's
water.
say thank you, Saint Bob.
Thank you, Saint
Thank you,
Bob.
Saint Maria,
Yes,
Mariah.
that's
Thank
right.
you, Saint Peter.
Saint Mariah, Saint Peter, Saint Sonia, Saint Pat, I mean, Saint Michael. How does that feel? Saint Marianne. I'm looking at all the names coming in. Saint Betty Lou, Saint Sharon, Saint Jan, Saint Nancy. I know there was more of you. And for some
Love it.
reason, it's not scrolling back. All of you put Saint in front
Yeah.
of your names. I love that walking on water. Thank you, Bob, for saying that you're trusting to with God behind you, you're doing your work. And I appreciate Charley sharing his story of trust because I mean that's a leap of faith. And when you make that leap of faith, right? Like the stair that you God meets you.
It
And
worked little by little.
how did you just say this? You said, no one can fail to do what God, oh, the Course in Miracles says this, no
Yeah,
one
the
can
God
fail to
appointed.
do what God appointed him to do. If we could just remember that, the things that can unfold around us. You said something too that um, I recently was talking to my nephew. He was having to give a talk in front of people for an occasion. And he was so nervous. And I said, just remember, all these people are rooting for you. Sometimes we get in our head like, you know, the story is negative, and it's like these people are want to see you succeed, and if we
Yeah,
can remind
exactly.
ourselves, yeah,
Indeed. So I'd
um,
like to. Am I on visual right now? On Can people see
you're
me?
right here. We
Okay.
everybody can see you.
There's another thing that today is.
Okay.
This photo is from my parents' wedding day 75 years ago today.
75 years ago today.
Yeah, this is my parents' anniversary. My dad is still alive. He's
Look at
96.
them. I'm
My
gonna
mom
put this
passed on a little while ago. Yeah, so they were 21, those crazy kids. So it was the back of a
on. Oh,
car. Isn't that wild?
it's so beautiful. It's just so alive and
Yeah,
refreshing.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
75 years ago today, June 28th.
Today, yeah.
Wow. Beautiful day.
Hmm.
Beautiful day.
For your daughter as well, of
Uh,
course.
let me see what else is here. Let me scroll back. Lots of comments. Yay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, Betty Lou says St. Charlie is a gift to us all. Indeed. Sonia says, there are those rare Sundays when I feel the sermon was custom created and spoken directly to me. Thank you,
Hmm.
Charlie.
Hmm. Thank you.
We're grateful. Sharon says, thank you, St. Charlie. Yes. Jan says, Charlie, so grateful. I think this is my favorite talk of yours. Lessons so clear, simple, and our life's play. Yes, thank you, Jan. I'm glad that it
Thank you.
touched you deeply. Nancy says, your talk and music today has been a gift for me. Thank you, Charlie.
Hmm.
And Sonia said, thank you, St. Bob. Yes. Luinda says, wonderful talk, Charlie. You have a beautiful and natural way of relaying a message, doesn't he? That's what I was saying. See? I
Hmm.
wasn't telling any fibs. This is truth. Jan says, Charlie, so grateful. I think this is, oh, yeah, that posted twice. But saying it twice is great. Your favorite talk. Mariah says, your parents are saints, Charlie, for bringing you to us. Yes,
Oh,
I want to affirm that.
and for putting up with me in elementary school.
We'll have to hear some of those stories.
Oh, that was horrible. I acted out all the time.
Oh, well, look at you. It was part of who you are, who you
It,
were building
yes,
yourself to
building.
be. So thank you for helping us today look beyond familiar stories and discovering that deeper essence, the deeper truth in them. And that perhaps that the greatest miracles are just awakening a new way of seeing something, because whenever we all hear about these miracles ever again, whether it's, healing the blind or walking on water or the loaves and fishes story, we're going
Hmm.
to all remember, there's just a deeper depth um, to the message. And
Thank you. Yes,
yeah, so thank
there's
you
more
for
there.
enlightening us, for showing us an expansive view. And I think that's just what we've been talking about, this holy pause.
Hmm.
It's been inviting us all month long to pause, to see this, um, to expand. And so we're so grateful. I was just reading something else I jotted down that um, oh, the supernatural self, collected leftovers. Yeah, I know. The stories they're so rich. And remember the questions. What fools you? What fails you? What fills you? Remember, you're going to wake up every day and look in the mirror and say, "Good morning, Saint." I
Say
love this.
fill in the blank.
This is it's so fun, there's so much
Hmm.
life in it. There's so much, it's revitalizing.
Hmm.
So thank you for revitalizing us this morning.
Thanks for squeezing
We're
another
so
talk out of me.
we were saying this morning, Charley, we get Charley twice a year usually, and I'm like, okay, Charley, I know you're busy,
Yeah.
but which days? Which
I said
days
you're squeezing me like a tube of toothpaste, making another talk come out.
we love it because
Yeah.
your talks are always so enriching
Thank you.
and really expanding our hearts in such
Yeah.
deep ways. So thank you
Yeah.
for saying yes to us and saying yes to God
Mm.
and doing your work, because you are a gift, you are a blessing, and we
Thank
are
you.
deeply blessed by you. So okay, everybody, we have a few minutes, so we invite you to hydrate and nourish yourself and come back into the Zoom room for the concert. We're going to move over to our Zoom space, and that link is on our website, unityinspiredliving.org. It's on the homepage. You'll see it. I'm also going to drop it here in the Facebook live stream chat, and so you can get in there whichever way is easier for you. And remember, everybody is welcome into our Zoom room space. So invite anybody, neighbors, friends, family. We love everybody being there. It's just a beautiful space in consciousness, and we're grateful. So
Yeah. It's a little
thank
bit
you.
free form. If there people have any song requests, as long as I can remember the lyrics, I'll play them. I don't have a set list. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. And Charley, oh my gosh. Charley, if you have not experienced a Charley concert and you're new around here, come in because you are
Yeah.
in for a delight. I mean, truly, his music is takes you somewhere else, opens your heart in a way that you will be transformed. So thank you everybody for being here with us this morning. It's been a beautiful space. If our service has supported you, if our community inspires you, we encourage you to check out our giving page on our website, unityinspiredliving.org. Your compassionate donations make us possible. So thank you for being part of this community. We are going to close with the prayer of protection, and I like to speak it as it was intended by the author as a benediction, a blessing spoken over you. So allow yourself to receive and let it land. Where is it? It should be coming up right here on our screen. Yes, the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, the presence of God watches over you, the mind of God guides you, the life of God flows through you. The laws of God direct you. The peace of God abides within you. The joy of God uplifts you. The strength of God renews you. The beauty of God inspires you. And wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Ashe, namaste. Thank you, beloveds, for being here with us today, sharing this message. We will see you in the Zoom room shortly. Thank you, Charley, for saying
Yes.
yes to us. We are deeply
Okay.
grateful. I will see you all next week. Shine on, bright ones. Love you
Ciao for
dearly.
now.